United States Army's 37th Vice Chief of Staff, welcome to Joint Base San Antonio. Today we will witness the relinquishment of command by Lieutenant General N.Y. West, the outgoing United States Army Surgeon General and Commanding General, United States Army Medical Command. Additionally, we would like to thank Lieutenant General West for her many years of service to the Army and the nation. We are joined today by many distinguished guests, visitors, and friends. Among them are Colonel Retired Donald West, husband of Lieutenant General West; the Honorable James Peake, Secretary of Veterans Affairs; Lieutenant General Laura Richardson, Commanding General Army North and 5th Army, and her Command Sergeant Major Delgado; Mr. Trace Clayberg, Civilian Aide to the Secretary of the Army, Texas South; and the CW5 Retired Candy Martin, Gold Star mother, and her spouse, Ed Martin. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the invocation by Chaplain Colonel Julie M. Rowan, U.S. Army Medical Command's Chaplain.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that we can stand before you at this relinquishment of command. We pause to thank you for the special memories and bright hopes which stir within us. It is a time to say goodbye, a time to be thankful for what has been, to say yes to today, and to be confident of tomorrow. Because of our Surgeon General, Lieutenant General West, we are able to approach this hour in a spirit of achievement and pride. We have been blessed with her openness of purpose, her simplicity of life, her respect for moral and spiritual values, and an old-fashioned love of country. We know that throughout the pages of history, you have always raised up great leaders to fulfill your divine will. We give you thanks for having granted MedCom the opportunity for Lieutenant General West to command us. We are thankful for the leadership she has demonstrated to us and for the example she has set for us to follow. Her legacy will remain embedded in our hearts. We pray that you will bless her and her family as they prepare for the new mission of retirement, which has been set before them. Please be with us all here in MedCom as we seek to be a powerful United States Army Medical Command under your control. Grant us faith, stamina, and courage we need to carry out our mission to be peacemakers in an ever-changing world. In your precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Chaplain. At this time, please direct your attention to the right of the reviewing stand, where Master Sergeant Jimmy Rogers, member of the Sergeant Audie Murphy Club, is presenting a gift to Lieutenant General West's husband, Don, in appreciation for his dedicated support to Lieutenant General West and the United States Army Medical Command. The commander of troops is Colonel Myron McDaniels. The formation of troops before you represents the more than 48,071 Compo 1, 18,557 Compo 2, and 23,756 Compo 3 officers, non-commissioned officers, and soldiers from units within the United States Army Medical Command and the Army Medical Regiment, totaling over 90,384 military and more than 40,354 civilian workers that make up a total workforce for MedCom of over 130,758 soldiers and civilians. Starting from left to right is the 323rd Army Band, Fort Sam Zone, under the direction of First Sergeant Scott Boyle and led by Drum Major Sergeant First Class Daniel Clem. Headquarters and Headquarters Company, commanded by Captain Sean Hunt and his First Sergeant Antoinette Francois. Regional Medical Command Pacific, commanded by Major General Dennis Lemaster and his Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major Clark Charpentier. Regional Health Command Europe, commanded by Brigadier General Ronald Stevens and his Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major Todd Garner. The Color Guard is from Regional Health Command Central and is led by Command Sergeant Major Michael Gregg, the U.S. Army Medical Command's Command Sergeant Major. Regional Health Command Central, commanded by Brigadier General George Appenzeller and his Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major Joseph Cecil. Regional Health Command Atlantic, commanded by Brigadier General Michael Place, and his Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major Diamond Huff. The U.S. Army Reserve Medical Command from Pinellas Park, Florida, commanded by Brigadier General Lisa L. Dumont and her Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major John McKinney. 1st Medical Brigade from Fort Hood, Texas, commanded by Colonel Robert F. Howe and his Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major Robert J. Jackson. The Salute Battery is from the Regional Health Command Central. The non-commissioned officer in charge is Master Sergeant Jimmy Johnson. Bugle calls have a marked place in military history. They have been used for hundreds of years in armies throughout the world to signal, alert, and inform soldiers and units. Bugle calls will be used in today's ceremony in place of verbal commands. Please direct your attention to the left of the formation where the adjutant will begin the ceremony with the sounding of attention.
Sound attention! Sound adjutant's call! Sound parade front! Sound off! Sound off!
The history of the review can be traced back to the Middle Ages when rulers, as a way of showing their strength, were likely to have military ceremonies. In the American Army, reviews were originally outlined in John Stuart's Blue Book and practiced by Revolutionary soldiers. The presence of the band represents a significant role that the drum, fife, and other instruments have played throughout the military history for signaling commands in camp and on the battlefield. The march of the band across the front of the line is said to have originated with the Crusades. The troops offering themselves for service were drawn up in a long formation, and the band countermarched only before those chosen to serve. Today, the 323rd Army Band, Fort Sam's own, troops the line of the Medical Command units.
take your post. Sound! Order! Arms!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and rendering of honors.
Sound! Present! Arms! Stop. Sound! Order arms and parade! Rest!
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Ma'am, the command's prepared for inspection.
The reviewing party and commander of troops will now conduct an inspection by trooping the line. In days past, trooping the line enabled the soldiers to physically identify their leader and allow the commander to personally observe and evaluate his soldiers and equipment, judge for himself their capability to successfully engage and win in combat. In August 1993, the U.S. Army Chief of Staff approved a plan to reorganize the AMED. The heart of the plan was to merge several medical elements into a new, expanded Major Medical Command under the Surgeon General. In October 1993, the U.S. Army Medical Command Provisional began a one-year process of replacing Health Services Command, HSC, and absorbing other Army Medical Department, AMED elements. Surgeon General Lieutenant General Asi Lanu commanded the Provisional MedCom, while Major General Richard D. Cameron continued as Commander of Health Services Command, the MedCom predecessor. In November 1993, U.S. Army Dental Command, DENCOM, and U.S. Army Veterinary Command, VETCOM, were formed as provisional commands under the MedCom to provide real command change for more efficient control of dental and veterinary units. The first time those specialties had been commanded by the same authorities who provided their technical guidance. The next month, 7 Medical Center MedCent commanders assumed command and control over care in their regions. The new health service support areas under the MedCom had more responsibility and authority than the old HSC regions they replaced. In March 1994, a merger of Medical Research and Development Command, the Medical Material Agency, and the Health Facility Planning Agency created the Medical Research Development Acquisition and Logistics Command, subordinate to the Provisional MedCom. The command shortly got a new and less formidable moniker, Medical Research and Material Command. Then in June 1994, an additional HSSA was formed to supervise medical care in Europe, replacing the 7th Medical Command, which inactivated. That summer, the Army Environmental Hygiene Agency formed the basis of the Provisional Center for Health Promotion and Preventive Medicine. Bit by bit, Army medicine was coming together in a new home under the same man who was the Surgeon General, unifying the leadership and management of Army medicine more than ever before. Except for the field medical units commanded by the combat commanders, virtually all of Army medicine is now part of the MedCom. The MedCom became fully operational, dropping the provisional in October 1994. In 1996, the health service support areas were renamed Regional Medical Commands. During the 20 years since its establishment, the MedCom has continued to refine its structure to meet evolving requirements. There are now 4 regional medical commands overseeing medical care to the Army worldwide. The Warrior Transition Command was added in 2007 to develop, coordinate, and integrate the Army's Warrior Care and Transition Program for wounded, ill, and injured soldiers, veterans, and their families or caregivers. In 2011, the U.S. Army Veterinary Command and the Center for Health Promotion and Preventive Medicine merged to form the U.S. Army Public Health Command. Most recently, a bottom-up review of the headquarters structure resulted in a major reorganization of the MedCom staff as the headquarters began to shift from focusing on acting as a healthcare organization to creating a system of health that continues to provide responsive and reliable health services while influencing health to improve readiness, save lives, and advance wellness in support of the force, military families, and all those entrusted to our care.
Sound attention! Sound commanders, sergeant majors, and colors, center, march!
The positioning of the colors at the center of the formation represents their presence at the forefront of the unit during the heat of battle. As the regimental system developed, units were assigned a specific color or number for the regimental colors. This was done to aid in the identification of units and their position on the battlefield. Their position at the front and center of the formation provided a point for the unit to dress on during parades and rally to during battle.
Ma'am, commanders and colors present. Sound, present, arms. Detachment, present, arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Sound, order arms, and parade, rest.
We will now observe the relinquishment of command. The relinquishment of command is appropriately symbolized by the passing of the organizational colors from the outgoing commander, who relinquishes her duties and responsibilities at the command. The command sergeant major is the keeper of the colors, and the honor of serving as the color sergeant belongs to the unit's senior enlisted member as the keeper of colors. That tradition is an inherent tradition that is well known and understood by one and all. This traces its roots to the position of color sergeant, the individual who on the battlefield directed the movements of a unit. The passing of the organizational colors from the outgoing commander represents a relinquishing of authority, responsibility, and trust for caring, welfare, and training of soldiers in the enforcement of standards. Command Sergeant Major Gregg, the Senior Enlisted Advisor to the Surgeon General and Command Sergeant Major, U.S. Army Medical Command, passes the colors to Lieutenant General West as the outgoing Commanding General in final deference to her authority and leadership. Lieutenant General West passes the colors to General Martin for the last time as MedCom Commanding General, signifying the relinquishing of her duties and gratitude for the opportunity to care for America's best. General Martin accepts the colors from Lieutenant General West and thanks her for her dedication and relentless support of soldiers, their families, and civilians of the U.S. Army Medical Command. General Martin then passes the colors back to Command Sergeant Major Gregg, renewing his responsibility as the keeper of the colors and the standard bearer for the soldiers and civilians of the MedCom, also reaffirming the continuity of the NCO support channel. Ladies and gentlemen, the 37th Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, General Joseph Martin.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing? How are you doing, everybody? Secretary Peake, distinguished guests, and soldiers and civilians of the Surgeon General's Office of the United States Army Medical Command. Welcome to today's ceremony, and first, thank you for inviting me to be at beautiful Joint Base San Antonio. It's an honor to join you this morning on such a special occasion. I want to thank everybody who worked so hard to deliver the precision that you have seen so far and will continue to see from this group of professional soldiers from our Army. I know that it takes time and it takes effort to work on this, but I also know that with every word that I say, they stay out there in the heat longer. Speaking of which, take my direction, all soldiers in formation, rest. You heard me. I said rest. Shake your leg. If you need to take a knee, take it. You're a human being just like me. We're out here in the sun. Rest. For color bearers, you can unseat your colors, except for the national colors, which must remain seated. Go ahead and execute those instructions, and I'll be as quick as I can. But I got some things I needed to say, but I wanted to make you as comfortable as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to thank CW5 retired Candy Martin, who's one of our Gold Star mothers, for being here. Candy, thank you for your service, and thank you for your sacrifice. So the truth of the matter is, any day that I can spend with soldiers and civilians outside of the Pentagon is a great day. Last week, as we were planning this trip, my aide showed me the weather forecast, and it was a long string of days with triple-digit highs. And I well remember the city of San Antonio and how it can get so humid, especially if it rains the day before like it did yesterday. So we had the ceremony as early as we could, and whoever had that idea, thank you and God bless you. Lieutenant General West, I want to welcome you and your entire family to this ceremony. Don, Your support to Nadja over the past 29 plus years is truly remarkable. You're a role model as a retired professional, a retired soldier, and a supportive spouse. And you and Nadja have raised an incredible son and daughter, and you've been a model Army family as a whole. So Nadja's family has an impressive record of service to our nation, and I don't know if she'll talk to you about this. She never talked to me about it before she had a retirement ceremony a couple of weeks ago, but it's an incredible story, and I'll share it. Nadja's father, Oscar, served for 33 years in the Army and retired as Chief Warrant Officer 4. Her mother, Mabel, was a 20-year Army Community Service volunteer. 10 of Oscar and Mabel's 12 children went on to serve their nation in uniform. Nadja and her siblings served in the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy, and we'll forgive them for those indiscretions and decisions in the past. But in total, their family represents well over a century of service to our nation. And it doesn't stop there. You see, in May, Don and Nadja's son Logan graduated from West Point, and he'll continue this family's tremendous legacy of service as an artilleryman. Let's give them a round of applause. You know, I was walking around this morning and I ran into a group of doctors and I said, "Hey, how you doing? You guys doctors that are in the Army?" And they said, "No, sir. We're Army doctors." And there's a difference, and I'm going to try to explain that. For most soldiers and families, Army medicine is the combat medic in their platoon, the team of receptionists, techs, nurses, and doctors who greet and treat our families in hospitals and clinics. But Army Medical Command is so much more. This command backbone, as you heard this morning, is 130,000 military and civilian professionals who lead and support a diverse command. 8 med centers, 11 community hospitals, 13 clinics, 335 primary care clinics, 106 dental clinics, 74 veterans clinics, 34 research and development labs, and dozens of operational medical brigades, units, and teams providing direct support to the warfighter. Each one of the 130,000 MedCom personnel come to work every day committed to a single mission: to care for our soldiers, families, and retirees, and preserve the health of the world's premier fighting force. The impact the MedCom personnel have had on the Army every day is truly unmatched by any other organization. So, with this much responsibility, it should not be a surprise that the Army takes great care in selecting the right leader to command such an important enterprise. Lieutenant General Nadja West was a natural choice for our Army. She is a decisive leader who proved her merit over a career of action and results. She was a field surgeon in Desert Storm, commander of Womack Army Medical Center, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, served as the Joint Staff Surgeon where she crafted the DoD response to the Ebola crisis back then. And without doubt, under Nadja's command, MedCom has made tremendous strides over the past 3+ years. On the front lines, MedCom took lessons learned from recent conflicts and incorporated non-traditional but advanced training techniques to build and maintain the skills of combat medic teams. The Expeditionary Combat Medic Program trains combat medics in advanced treatment and prevention skills. These programs aim to build combat medical skills in austere, high-intensity combat environments and will prepare our soldiers to operate on future battlefields. Nadja has also incorporated the Strategic Medical Asset Readiness Training Program, or the SMART program. This program allows trauma specialists to partner with prestigious Level 1 trauma centers in cities like Camden, New Jersey, Portland, Oregon, and Cincinnati, Ohio. These skills and training received in these intense programs under real-world conditions will build and sustain life-saving skills, further prepare our forces for future combat. Nadja also oversaw the development of multiple initiatives and programs to further the readiness and wellness of our soldiers and families. In support of the Army Health and Holistic Fitness Program, The Surgeon General's Physician Performance Service Line pulls together experts to study soldier performance and identify leading causes for soldier injury. This innovative approach is invaluable when developing real-world training programs for our soldiers while simultaneously looking out for long-term health of all of our warfighters. Additionally, the Army increased the number of wellness centers to further promote and sustain a healthy lifestyle. These programs touch soldiers and families, producing immediate gains in personnel readiness, and we've seen those gains in personnel readiness. Again, Nadja is a soldier of action and results. Army Medicine is recognized as a lead agency in the treatment of behavioral health. Nadja proactively assigned behavioral health professionals to our operational units, giving commanders and their providers an opportunity to identify issues early, left of the crisis, and facilitate treatment. To date, 61 teams support our units, and their methods are having a direct impact on the readiness of our operational research, our operational units. Researchers made tremendous advances in 3 years. In 2018, the FDA approved the first ever blood test that can assist providers in identifying traumatic brain injury through a blood test. Researchers also pioneered an endovascular device for severe hemorrhage control and resuscitation. Ladies and gentlemen, this device was recently used by a military surgeon serving in a civilian trauma center to save the life of a gunshot wound victim. These and countless other discoveries and initiatives by our medical research teams will change how we evaluate and care for our soldiers in combat. Under Nadja's watch, MedCom became a has participated in a historic transformation in the healthcare delivery. Under the National Defense Authorization Act, the Defense Health Agency will assume responsibilities for the healthcare delivery services of our soldiers, our family members, and our retirees. This reform initiative will impact them all. Getting this right is critical to efforts to care for the Army now and in the future. Throughout the transition, Army Medicine must keep focused on the task at hand, continuing to provide a trained and ready medical force in support of our warfighters. Readiness will remain a top priority, and the Army Medical Command remains critical to that effort. To the soldiers and civilians of the Army Medical Command, what you do every day will continue to be essential to our Army's ability to fight tonight and win, because there's no other choice. Winning matters. From our combat medics serving on the front lines to the research scientists committing to discovering the next groundbreaking medical procedure, I want to say on the behalf of a 1.3 million person Army, thank you. Thank you from our soldiers and our families for the care and comfort you provide every day in the name of service. I'm amazed by your commitment to care and the dedication to the mission. As we continue to reform the healthcare enterprise, I have confidence your continued commitment to soldiers and families will remain paramount, and Army Medicine will continue to lead the way well into the future. Lieutenant General West, the leadership you've provided this command has been superb and steadfast. You are a shining example of the talented and dedicated personnel who all wear this uniform and who are civilians supporting our MedCom and our soldiers and their families and our retirees. Thank you for your tireless efforts and unwavering support to this nation. Job well done, Nadja. Army strong.
Ladies and gentlemen, the outgoing United States Army Surgeon General and Commanding General, U.S. Army Medical Command, Lieutenant General N.Y. West.
All right, good morning. I would also like to say to the soldiers on the field again, rest. All right, shake it out, because I think it's more important, hopefully you hear what I say rather than trying to concentrate on staying upright. So please, sorry, Sergeant Major. I know, sorry, Major Gregg, sorry, Battle Buddy, but we got to let them bend their knees a little bit, and because I think they've demonstrated that they're HUA soldiers, so we just need to let them rest a bit for a minute there. And so I'd like to again say good morning, distinguished guests, fellow leaders, service colleagues, Army Medicine teammates, family, and friends. Welcome. You honor my family and me today by your presence. And General Martin, thank you so much for those very kind and heartfelt words and remarks, and for also taking your time out of your extremely busy schedule to attend and to officiate this ceremony. And I found out this morning this is your first official ceremony as the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, and we are really honored. I want to just thank you for that and for bestowing that honor upon MedCom to be the first out of the blocks for you to officiate in your official capacity as the Vice. I know there are many other competing activities that could have kept you there in the halls of the Pentagon, tethered there, as you mentioned earlier, but making this ceremony a priority speaks volumes to the respect that you have for us, and I do really appreciate you being here. I also appreciate having had the opportunity to serve with you on the Army staff, seeing how, as the director of the Army staff, just your short time there really took us to another level of being a well-synchronized staff in support of the Chief and the Secretary. So thank you so much for the opportunity to have served with you. And Chaplain Rowan, thank you so much for that wonderful invocation. Where's my chaplain? Over there. Thanks, Chaplain. Appreciate it. Our Army is blessed to have a corps dedicated to attending to the spiritual health of our soldiers and our families. You are vital to the well-being of our patients and our staff, who truly appreciate what you do. And I have personally benefited from your daily prayers, along with those of every single other chaplain in the Army that I have pressed into service throughout my career. And I know they avoid me now because they know if they make eye contact, they're stuck. They have to pray for me every day for the rest of their lives. And so that's a pretty tall task, but I feel it. I feel the prayers for all that. So please let's give a round of applause for all of our chaplains and what they do for us. And to the 323rd Army Band, Fort Sam's own, you are awesome. I'm so glad to be able to hear you one last time in uniform. Our Army is blessed with a tradition of having soldiers who are also professional musicians within our ranks. And early in our nation's history, we really shared a bond of taking care of our wounded. Because in wars past, when the casualties were mounting, you set aside your instruments to carry the litters that bore our injured. Today, you motivate us and inspire us and make me proud and grateful to be a soldier. So let's give a round of applause for Fort Sam's own, directed by First Sergeant Boyle and led by Drum Major Sergeant First Class Clem. Thank you. And last but definitely not least, to the soldiers on the field representing the outstanding professionals that make up Army medicine. You look magnificent. You are truly the best of our nation and the pride of our Army. And please give our soldiers, again, a round of applause in this day. And I would like to thank all, some who have come from really great distances, for taking the time to join my family and me today at this ceremony, as I end my time as Commanding General of MedCom, a time during which I had the privilege of serving as the leader of over 130,000 awesome medical professionals in over 120 occupational specialties, consisting of soldiers from our total Army, our amazing Department of the Army civilians, contractors, and dedicated volunteers, all charged with ensuring the health and readiness of our force and medical units so they can deploy and support any mission our nation asks of us in any environment, while also caring for our families and soldiers for life. Now I could spend time reflecting on my time as your commander, what we've accomplished together. You've heard some of those things from General Martin, our vice, and how the Army medicine of today is better than when we found it, which it is. Again, just building upon those great leaders before me. I could talk of all the advancements and lives saved, patients seen, surgical procedures performed, dental exams completed, pounds of food inspected, numbers of soldiers deployed in support of combatant commands, and on and on. But I won't, because in reality, that's really nothing new. This is what we do. This is the awesome capability that we bring. Because you see, we're part of a family business whose longevity is not measured in decades, but in centuries. We are part of a noble tradition that has been caring for wounded, relieving suffering, healing ailments, protecting health, developing new cures, and preventing disease for centuries. And it is really mind-boggling to me that I had the opportunity to be a leader of it for just a small sliver of our timeline. When I calculated it out, it was about 1.6% of our time that Army medicine's been around. So that's just a small sliver in a long tradition of great medical leaders and great accomplishments from our AMED. So just think, 244 years ago, General George Washington arrived in Cambridge, Massachusetts. His first orders were released 24 hours after he took command. In those orders, there were 3 separate commands that dealt with health care, 3. One dealt with sanitation, one with personal cleanliness of the soldiers, and the third was an attempt to prevent an outbreak of smallpox. The health of the Army was at the forefront of Washington's mind. He knew that no Army can succeed if its strength is diminished. And in 2005, the Smithsonian Magazine published an article called "Washington Takes Charge," and they postulated, and I quote, "When historians debate Washington's most consequential decisions as a commander-in-chief, they almost argue and speculate about specific battles. A compelling case can be made that his swift response to the smallpox epidemic and a policy of inoculation was the most strategic decision of his military career," end quote. And I would contend that his early emphasis on the health of his Army, not only in the smallpox response, was his wisest decision. Without our fighting strength, the war would certainly have been lost. And Washington set a precedent. The U.S. Army began life understanding the importance of health, the fighting strength and quality of medical care. In the Civil War, this was exemplified by advances in evacuation, emergency medicine advancements, hospital administration, medical records, sanitation, nursing, and specialty care. Walter Reed continued the tradition in his fight against yellow fever. Whether you look at the Carlisle bandage, the MASH hospitals, medevac, advanced burn care, worldwide blood distribution, or advanced first aid techniques being taught at all levels of our Army, Washington's legacy of healthcare as vital part of our Army's effectiveness, readiness, and lethality continues today. Just think Ebola, Zika, malaria, multi-drug resistance tuberculosis, as well as hemorrhaging, burn, and traumatic brain injury advances. These advancements have given us the upper hand in conflicts around the world, and more important, they have also advanced the quality of life of our civilian population. Can you imagine life where medevac is not available, trauma patients on our roads? Well, that capability was made possible by Army Medicine's MAST program that began in 1974, and it changed our world. What about emergency rooms, professional nursing care, widespread vaccinations, advanced burn treatment trauma centers? These are all things that the Army either started or played a significant role in its advancement. So I know what you're thinking now. Yikes, why the history lesson? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because today is definitely not about me. It's about us, the descendants of those professionals who took the first orders from George Washington all those years ago and have been operationalizing the commander's intent throughout history, achieving greater and greater excellence from the days of colonial apothecaries that used the crude but well-meaning remedies such as chalk and calamine, all the way through modern-day robotic surgery, tourniquets, and cutting-edge malaria treatments. We must not forget this legacy of our proud heritage. General Perkins, our former TRADOC commander, commented to us in a professional development session that we all know what we do in our various occupational specialties, but we must never forget what we are for. And we are for conserving the nation's fighting strength. And as I was reflecting on what it has meant to me to be the commanding general of MedCom, I thought back to General Milley's initial message to the force, and he stated, and I quote, "Our fundamental task is not like no other. It is to win in the unforgiving crucible of ground combat," end quote. Now, MedCom as a supporting command does not win wars. I understand this. We have, however, remained a critical enabler to ensure our Army achieves this end. Our nation's mothers and fathers know that when their sons or daughters become ill or injured, we are there. We are ready. And this gives them confidence to send them into harm's way, to win our nation's wars, if called to. It is truly a sacred trust, and our readiness to support the warfighter will never and can never be in doubt. Our nation has a truly priceless gem in our Army Medical Department. The quality of care and the capabilities we collectively provide in all disciplines and all occupational specialties to all entrusted to our care is unmatched and will continue to be a shining example to our nation and the one that they have become to rely upon and expect. That has been my azimuth as the Commanding General of MedCom. But times change and medicine changes. The Army changes. But we need not fear. We simply need to be diligent and remember what we are for. We have been change agents for 244 years. Now we need to face the changes of a new era while holding fast to the truth of our past. Medical cares matter. Our warriors matter. They always have and they always will. But it doesn't end there. Remember that throughout history, innovation originating with Army medicine has spilled over into society, shaping and improving the health enterprise of our entire nation. We must continue to be leaders of change we are known for. You are all very well equipped to take us to the next level of excellence, and you have a group of strong leaders, many of you on the field and some in the stands. You have a strong group of leaders, brilliant leaders to take us there. Army medicine is in phenomenal hands. And as I conclude my remarks, I want to read a quote from American author, Pulitzer Prize winner Alice Walker, and she said, and I quote, "Thank you is the best prayer that anyone could say. I say that one a lot. Thank you expresses extreme gratitude, humility, understanding," end quote. So as I depart, I want to say thank you. Thank you to my family. Don, you've been at my side for over 30 years. Thank you. To Sydney and Logan, the best children a mother could wish for. Thank you. To the NCO Corps, represented by the mighty Command Sergeant Major Michael Gregg, I say hua, and his predecessor, Command Sergeant Major Gerald Ecker, before him. Thank you. To all of the members of the Army Medical Team, my mentors, teachers, advocates, and friends, thank you. And finally, to the men and women of the Army Medicine past who have been here and who are here, who made my journey as a soldier so rewarding and enjoyable, thank you. And to all who support Army Medicine, thank you. And last but not least, Chaplain, you'll know this, to God in heaven, thank you for everything, for I would not even be here today to thank you for all the other things I just thanked you for. I am very grateful for each and every one of you. So God bless our Army. God bless Army medicine. God bless our men and women in harm's way. And God bless America. One team, one purpose.
Attention! Detachment, post! March! Sound, pass, and review.
Please render appropriate honors to the national colors as they pass. Troops for today's ceremony is Colonel Myron McDaniels, the troop commander for the U.S. Army Medical Command. The 323rd Army Band, Fort Sam Zone, is under the direction of First Sergeant Scott Boyle. The drum major is Sergeant First Class Daniel Klim. Approaching the reviewing stand is headquarters company, commanded by Captain Sean Hunt and his First Sergeant Antoinette Francois. The HAC provides for the health, welfare, training, and morale of the soldiers, civilians, and contracting staff of the Medical Command headquarters. Approaching the reviewing stand is the Regional Health Command Pacific, commanded by Major General Dennis LeMaster and led by Command Sergeant Major Clark Charpentier. RHC Pacific provides patient-centered outcomes-based health care and drive the transformation to a system for health for forces and families in the Pacific region. Educate, train, and provide a ready medical force to enhance health and save lives. Approaching the reviewing stand is Regional Health Command Europe, commanded by Brigadier General Ronald Stevens, and his Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major Todd Garner. The command provides comprehensive health services in order to optimize force readiness and the health and well-being of our military, family members, and European retiree population. Please stand and render appropriate honors to the national colors as they pass. Approaching the reviewing stand is the color guard from Regional Health Command Central and is led by Command Sergeant Major Michael Graff. Approaching the reviewing stand is Regional Health Command Central, commanded by Brigadier General Derek Appenzeller and his Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major Joseph Cecil. RHC Central provides responsive, innovative, and reliable health services and influence health to improve readiness, save lives, and advance wellness in support of the force, military families, and all those entrusted to our care. Approaching the reviewing stand is Regional Health Command Atlantic, commanded by Brigadier General Michael Place and his Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major Diamond Huff. RHC Atlantic provides installation medical support to more than two-thirds of our operational forces, building readiness and combat power through sustained, proactive, and patient-centered care. Approaching the reviewing stand, representing the Army Medical Department Regiment is the United States Army Reserve Medical Command from Pinellas Park, Florida, represented by Brigadier General Lisa Dumont and her Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major John McKinney. The AR Medcom uniquely provides medical, dental, and veterinary services as well as assistance to civil authorities during a crisis event. Approaching the reviewing stand, also representing the Army Medical Department Regiment is 1st Medical Brigade, the Silver Knights, located at Fort Hood, Texas, commanded by Colonel Robert F. Howe, and his Sergeant Major is Command Sergeant Major Robert J. Jackson II. The Silver Knights provide expeditionary operational medicine in support of 3rd Corps and is battle ready to support the mission anytime, any place. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for your support and attendance. You are cordially invited to the front of the reviewing stand to say your farewells to Lieutenant General West and her family. One team, one purpose, serving the fighting strength since 1775. Have a great Army Day.